Thank goodness this isn't an old English sheepdog with shaggy straggling fur, for I am going to use the iColorama brush mask to remove this dog from its background. A gradient at reduced opacity will show where the masking is being applied. Most of the lower part of the dog's torso has a slightly blurred outline, so a soft brush is selected. Later, for the dog's head and collar, a switch to a harder brush is required. Use as large a brush as you can get away with to take care of the interior of the selection. This is a time saver. A small brush is more likely to leave gaps, and a thin brush stroke will show wiggles and jitters. When you do come to the edge, reduce the brush size. Unlike some imaging apps, iColorama does not show the brush shape, so it is advisable to experiment a little with your brush size, working your way cautiously from the middle towards the outline. The erase button is your friend if you find your brush crosses the edge when your stylus or finger is still seemingly far away from it. So you will find yourself feeling for the outline and then drawing the brush along it. A close magnification will mean that you won't bulldoze over any details, but it will also require frequent strolling and then more edge finding. These stops and starts can result in dips and bumps in the selection edge, which can be spotted and corrected later. The brush mask is iColorama's most versatile masking tool, useful for making freehand masks, as is shown here. It can also be used for modifying its own output and that of iColorama's other mask generating filters, such as Effects Range, Style Threshold, and Style Flat, which I intend to show in other tutorials. So we're just moving up toward the head of the dog, where its sharper outline will require the use of a harder edged brush. It's worth taking time over masks. They give us so much power over our images, while at the same time challenging us to hide our handiwork or face ridicule. The objective is to avoid straying outside the boundary of the object we're cutting out. A random piece of background will ruin the effect if allowed to remain. On the other hand, it does no harm to keep inside the outline, even if sacrificing a bit of the subject. So long as no vital detail is being omitted, anyone looking at your image will be unable to tell if something is being left out. Image editing tends to bring out our inner perfectionist. And this works on our behalf when we strive to do our best. But being too ambitious and trying to include impossibly intricate details when cutting out an object will inevitably spoil our work. Editing is the operative word. In the interests of speed, I am curbing my perfectionism. And if anyone watching this is shouting at their screen, "You missed that bit," well, I'm sorry. I fully understand. After changing the brush, we'll speed up the video. And then I'll show you what I do after I have saved the mask. I never use the mask immediately after I've made it. I usually will blend it in and have a look at it and see if there's any errors in it. So here it comes. And as you can see, there's a few bits that have been missed even though I used the big brush. So we'll call up the gradient and the brush mask and invert it and paint it out, as I described about using the brush mask for modifying its own product. There's a little bit of the black that needs to be taken care of as well, so we'll do that. Now, having saved that mask in the state it was, I'm now going to apply some effects to smooth the outline of it. That levels adjustment was to get rid of a little grey smudge in the middle. And a little blur to finish with, and it's ready for use now. So go back to the dog, load the mask, and put a green background on it so it can be imported using effects chroma. But before I can do that, I've spotted another little blemish which I will paint out. And thought the better of saving there, I thought I would just zoom out and have a look at the whole picture. It's not a good idea to save something from a zoomed view. So now we'll open up a background which I'll pick pretty well at random. And go to Effects, Chroma. And there's our dog, and in she comes with the green dropped out. Had there been any green in the dog, I would have made a blue background and chosen that as the preset of chroma to drop out the blue. So there we are.